Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Zach Husted. I have Katie Lunning with me. We are talking about some of her experiences in the military tonight, and some of the leadership skills she's learned from it. Katie, welcome. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Uh, so for those you don't know, where it's a micro series, we get we get an hour-ish long interview together. We chop it up into five little segments. So we go back to back, and it's rad. And Katie is a trooper. We're excited to help share her story, lift her up. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about this theme is a little bit about heart of home and duty. That's kind of the theme that we're gonna talk about. Um, so, Katie, I got to ask, right? Like you have you're in the military, your husband's in the military. How do you guys balance um, how do you balance this dual military family? Because like there's strong commitments on each side.
Yes, chaotic and coordination is kind of the theme of our life. I we met younger, so we met. We were both enlisted, obviously, but we met in the Army Guard, and we were both young enlisted, and that's just kind of been our life the entire time we've been together, which I think is helpful. I think it's more difficult if maybe one joins and the other one doesn't, because we grew up in this lifestyle together
I
and our
agree.
relationship has always been serving. Our daughter came along a while later, and as all parents, your priorities definitely change, and our priorities became about what's best for her. So sometimes we have to give up really cool opportunities that we want to do, and sometimes one has to give, one has to take, and our whole family helps out. We are fortunate to have grandparents involved that help out, aunts, and we each have a sister. So it isn't just us. We're alone in Iowa, but they're not far in Minnesota. And so we're very fortunate to have an extended family that, as you said, serves really because they're helping us do what we do.
Yeah, it does take a tribe, right, to do the
Hmm.
things, and it you can't do it without that support mechanism. And
Absolutely.
I totally get it. What um, before we dive into the how can we help and serve you, because that I mean that was just really simple home run question for you. You nailed it. Can you talk a little bit about um, the moment that you had to land in Kabul to get the patients,
Mhm.
and you're up 50 hours, and you had also heard at this time that you couldn't take all the gear, and you were shorthanded on some of the gear, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
talk
So
about
that's
that a little bit?
exactly. Absolutely. So that is accurate. That's what happened. So we'd been up for a long time, my team. We were fortunate going into that particular flight, heading out to get the casualties from the suicide bomber, that we had two full CCAT teams for the first time. We had a nurse and a respiratory therapist able to backfill us from Kuwait. So for the first time in 10 days, we had two full teams, and we were flying with an AE team, air medical evacuation team. So we had a lot of help and a lot of people. AE typically takes care of like your med surge patients, and then your CCAT takes care of the critical patients. And the
Okay.
thing about CCAT too, if we haven't talked about that part, I can't remember, is that we actually have to go into Kabul to pick up our patients. So, which is pretty important when you talk about kind of the heightened danger that the CCAT team is in, is that you have to put on your battle rattle gear and bring your equipment. We would have a litter on wheels with our equipment on top of it, and we would roll it through the gates. The Marines would let us through the gates. Picture the gates you see on TV, and pass them into the city to get our patients at a small coalition hospital. And we would do that for each patient and get them back onto the airplane. And this particular time, after the suicide bomb went off, there was a credible and real threat of a second suicide bomber. So our command made the decision that they wanted to hold half of our equipment back because they were going to fly in another team to pick up our equipment and potentially come after us. If that other suicide bomb were to go off, they were shooting more and more rockets at the airplanes. So there was danger of the airplanes getting hit. And there was just increased small arms fire all on the ground after the bomb went off. There was a lot of firefights. So that was our mindset when we were going into it. And early on, we'd been getting a lot of intel briefs talking about how dangerous it was on the ground, and we could see how dangerous it was on the ground. And my RT and I started saying to each other, scary stuff we can't control. And he's the one that said that to me. He's a New Yorker, he's funny, and he just looked at me after one particular brief and he goes, scary stuff we can't control. And he has a kid too. He had a little boy to go home to, and I had my daughter. And it's what we could do though, is we could focus on our jobs. You know, we can't control all the scary stuff, but we were here to do a job and to do a mission. And what we could do to get the mission done was to focus on what we had to do. And on that particular flight, that was even more evident is that despite all of the chaos and what's going on the ground, now we're flying home our brothers and sisters. Our Marines had been hit. We knew that some had died and there was heavy casualties. And it was even more important to us now that we focus on our job and get them out of there to safety.
The impact of knowing that you're going to go in, you got half the gear, it could get twice as worse, and the escalation factor is doubling.
Mhm.
Talk about the level of, yep, we're going to roll up our sleeves, we're going. Like, that's bad. That's rad. And
Yeah. And I think it's
that's the
learning how
type
to
of
compartmentalize.
unwavering leadership, right? Like that's where you have to be able to partition it, right? And just say,
Mhm.
we're going. Because
Yes.
you can't call in
And
sick that day,
no, you can't. And I mean, it's
right?
leadership,
Like
both by example, by saying, "Hey, we're going," and it takes all of us, so encouraging each other, like, "Hey, we're a team, we're doing this together," and then also leadership, servant leadership, in showing others that we are together. So it's not telling people what to do, but it's showing by, "Hey, we're a team and we're doing this together."
the stories that are going to come from this team, for years to come are just starting, and they don't start here. They've started before this, but the I'm excited to continue to hear the different vantage points of the team that you're on over time, because they need to be told. And um, I think that's one of the things that you ask about, right? Is how can this community? I ask you is how can this community continue to help you? Is lift this up and share it, and um, we're absolutely going to do that. And that's my goal in this whole thing for you and the team is to let's share it as big and broad as we can. Um, so that's what we're going to try to do. So for those of you that are watching it, I want you to hit click share, add it to 10 of your friends, and have them add it to 10 more. Let's help this team. Let's have their story be heard. It's a story worth hearing, and it's absolutely the right thing for all of us to do in here and see. So, Katie, I
Means a
think it's
lot.
an absolute. No, it's not. I don't think. I know it's. Yeah, it's this is one that needs to be shared and heard. I know where I'm going to send it right away as soon as we get done doing some editing on it. It I'll do my part for you guys. Um, before we wrap this episode, I just want to give you the chance to say anything else of like what else we can do to help and support you besides just what we just talked about and we have been talking about. Is there anything else that
No,
that
that's
we can do as a
huge.
community to help you guys?
It honors the people that were there and it honors the lives that we lost by telling their stories and remembering the great things that did happen and how many people were willing to give and how many people served, and then honoring those who didn't make it home.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, everybody, you heard it here from Katie Lunning, Major in the uh, United States Air Force National Guard out of Minnesota. Katie, thanks for being here. We'll be back with episode number
Thank you.
5 out of 5 on Leaders Lead. This is, I got to say, by far my favorite so far. Um, it's an honor. Hey, everybody. See you soon.